This is David Burnett, and David is involved with an organization on the UK campus. It's a nationwide organization, ConcealedCampus.com, and this is the week for their empty holster protest. David, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Kruser.
I appreciate it. What is the empty holster protest? What are you asking people on campus who think like you to do?
Essentially, we're asking them to carry empty holsters on their belts or wherever as they go about their day-to-day routine. We're not, as you said earlier, it's more of a silent protest. We're not walking around marching, shouting, banging drums, or waving signs. Mm-hmm. We're just basically walking around with empty holsters to symbolize the fact that we're defenseless if we have another mass murderer show up on a campus like a young man named Cho did with Virginia Tech.
What about cell phone holsters? Some people have those, and they look a lot on first glance like a holster that might sport a weapon. Does that count, or does it need to be a holster that rests a gun, that cradles a firearm?
If they're joining us, yeah, we'd prefer it to be definitely a firearm holster. Again, emphasizing an empty holster. We're not planning to disobey any laws here. We're just trying to raise attention for the fact that these laws prohibit us from what is otherwise recognized as a legitimate right in the state of Kentucky.
You're asking students and faculty to do this on the UK campus, and this same protest is being held at 110 colleges and universities this week. How much participation do you think you have on the UK campus this week, David?
On the UK campus, I have to thank Dr. Todd for sending out the notice, because since he did, I've received about 9 different applications of people just contacting me wanting to join, which is a 900% increase from what I had before. So it's a definite improvement.
Pretty good.
And so we've got about 10 students, including myself. I actually heard from someone just prior to coming on the air here. So I'm excited about it. We're getting participation up on UK campus, and we've got contacts at Western Kentucky University, Eastern, and Northern. So we've got 4 campuses in the state of Kentucky.
Did this group that you're involved with, and your website is ConcealedCampus.com, did this spring up as a result of the Virginia Tech shootings, or has this group been around for a while?
It did. This specific group did come up right after the Virginia Tech shootings. They recognized that when you have a mass murderer and a mentally unstable person like Cho, who disobeyed the campus laws, because obviously if you're a mass murderer, you really don't care about laws to begin with, and he brought guns onto the campus, and he shot 2 students, and then he left, and the police arrived. That's one important thing to note about that. The police were on campus already investigating the murders, so only 2 of the victims were killed while the police were not there, and then approximately 45 others, I believe it was 30 dead and 17 wounded, were killed after the police arrived.
So your contention is that the police are not enough?
Right. We love our law enforcement officers, but there's just only so much that they can do with the amount of response time that they are. If you're on UK campus, you don't always see these guys in the right areas. It's a big campus. Read the crime reports every week in the Kernel. Crimes happen. We have sexual predators.
Right.
And, even the more extreme case where there's the potential for a mass murder, whether it be a mentally unstable person or even as far as a terrorist attack.
Do you have to be 21 to get a concealed weapons permit?
You do.
Okay. All right. So you got to be.
Kentucky, the age of 21. I believe that's pretty much uniform nationwide with the concealed carry laws. But yes, you do have to be 21. You have to take an 8-hour course. You have to engage in a observed range firing test to observe that you're relatively proficient with a gun. You have to undergo an FBI background check, which basically assures you haven't had any drug convictions or arrests or warrants in your past. And then you have to apply for a permit with your local county police.
I don't mean to generalize here, but most campus professors, college campus professors, faculty members that I've known or have read about tend to be of the liberal political persuasion, which would lead me to believe that most of them don't like guns, any guns, period.
That's the safest.
Do you have trouble expressing your thoughts and point of view to get faculty members involved? It would seem to me it might help if you had a couple of faculty members wear the empty holster this week. Have you tried to approach some faculty members on campus about this, and what kind of reaction have you gotten as far as their participation in this week's protest?
I have not approached any of my professors. We've heard mostly from students on campus. It would certainly be an added bonus if faculty members would contact and take part. Obviously, we trust these gentlemen and ladies with our students and our education, giving them the instruction they'll need for later in life. Obviously we would, I think, tend to trust them perhaps even more than students with a deadly weapon on campus with the proper license. But I have not approached anyone. Like you said, there is the general political persuasion leans left on college campuses.
Yeah, so I would think that maybe getting faculty involved might be difficult. And then on your website, and I mentioned this on the air, you probably heard it, and the last caller was referring to this. On the website, talks about the protest being held this week to protest state laws and school policies that stack the odds in favor of armed killers by disarming law-abiding citizens licensed to carry concealed handguns virtually everywhere else. And then you have in parentheses movie theaters, office buildings, shopping malls, etc. Is that accurate? As I told the previous caller, my perception is that most of those kinds of establishments have signs up disallowing people to bring in firearms, even if you are legally carrying one.
Right. Well, a couple of points. First of all, the organization is nationwide, and laws vary from state to state.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in Utah, they actually permit you to carry firearms on campus. They're one of the only states. They are the only state in America that lets you carry it. And I'd like to note we have not yet had any students protest a bad grade by going on a spree there, because they know they might get shot back at.
They might get theirs.
Yeah. Second point, it's as far as public places in Kentucky. In the course that I took, the required course for handgun licensing, they inform you that these public places have the right to prohibit you from carrying your firearm, but you can't be arrested if you go onto this place. And again, ideally it's concealed. Kentucky's unique because they have an open carry law, but most people, if they have a concealed carry permit, it's going to be concealed.
Right, you're not going to see it.
And so they may not see that. If they do happen to see it, or if you are questioned or approached, you're required to show your permit to the police. You may be asked to leave, and if you don't, then you're trespassing, then you can be arrested, but not beforehand.
I see. Can you hang on for a second, David?
Sure can.
I got a couple other things I'd like to ask you. We're talking with David Burnett, who is part of a group nationwide, and David goes to the University of Kentucky. They are launching a protest this week, October 22nd through the 26th, urging college students and faculty who believe as they do to wear an empty holster, weapons holster this week, to protest most college campuses across the country disallowing even legal concealed weapons holders from carrying their weapon on campus. So we will return with our discussion here in just a moment. Phone number 253-5959 and the email address Kruser at WVLKAM.com.